happened in the last video.
Screw 'em!
And here is more, MrDudeManSir.
Some people were chasing me. Or maybe they weren't people, but fuzzy black dots and a hellish landscape in the background. I ran stumbling over something, having nowhere to breathe. My whole essence was overtaken by primal fear and terror. And then memory snaps. What? Okay, that's a good intro to day 7. A random nightmare where I'm being chased by random black dots. I open my swollen eyelids only for me to be my eyes struck by a bright daylight. A terrible taste in my mouth, pains all over my body, and severe headache. It seems someone was drinking hard yesterday, and it happens to be you. After coming to my senses, I started to recall the events of last night. I believe there was a bottle of vodka which I happily emptied together with Alisa. I tried to stand up, but something was pinning my left arm. It was peacefully snoring Alisa. Everything that happened returned to my mind. Fear was quickly replaced by a feeling of euphoria. I relaxed lazily on the bed, enjoying a beautiful hungover morning. Sometime later, Alisa woke up. Okay, I would assume that this would be a point where this shirt right here would not be here, but since I'm not using the hentai patch currently, they have to cover it up with something, and what they did is they actually used a thing called a shirt to cover it up, I'd assume. I'd assume that is the thing. I kissed her softly and said, "Good morning." She gave me a blank look for a couple of seconds, then jumped up shouting, You! Me what? Me what? Yesterday, you! She hissed. But it was kind of your idea. Why is she... What? I guess this is a typical tsundere for you. I was drunk. So was I, what can you do? Alisa was seriously looking at me, but then calmed down and sat beside me. Alright, whatever happened, happened. You sure? I got up and tried to hug her. Don't. No. My kawaii side should stay at bay. Don't hug, no. She whispered, blushing. Why? Because... Alisa frantically shook her head. Because it's 4 o'clock already! What? Don't tell me you're late for something. Everyone will leave without us. Leave where? Today is the last day. And the last day of what? I asked, completely confused. The last day of the term. And tomorrow was too late. Say good. Okay, no. no Nickelback songs here. What? The hangover that seemed to have already passed a while ago made a sharp comeback. Don't tell me you did not even know. Alisa asked in surprise. So you did know it? Well, yes. But I'd forgotten it somehow. And what should we do now? Actually, that wasn't the main thing I was concerned about. If today was the last day, then everyone will go somewhere. So can I get out of the camp somehow? I can! I can do it! Just do it! Well, I have no idea. Maybe we can still make it. I jumped out of the bed and started dressing quickly. I knew it! Look, they were naked. They were naked. Okay. I don't know why I find some sort of weird fascination with that, but I did. It was difficult for my coordination was barely disturbed by yesterday's lavish indulgence. I could hardly concentrate with this amazing music just blurring into my ears. Wow. This is some hardcore, intense stuff. I feel like headbanging and maybe doing some sort of like rocker motion with my hands and stuff. But I will continue on somehow, not being distracted by this amazing music. What are you waiting for? Alisa didn't reply, but started dressing too. A couple of minutes later, we were standing at the deserted square. Let's go to the camp leader's cabin. After opening Old Michino's cabin with my key, I found nobody inside. Dots. We checked the entire camp and found out that we were here alone. Huh. This is strange. You know, it's only happened basically every other route. After returning to the square, I sat down and covered my face with my hands like a doomed man. I still felt sick, but now it turned out that I had to solve a serious problem. Where have they gone? Well, to the district square, I guess. Or center, same thing. Do you know where it is? Approximately. Oh, I thought she was going to give me a distance, but just when I read approximately, I was like, okay, approximately what? But then I realized her true meaning was not a distance. Is it possible to reach by foot? Don't know. And how long would it take on a bus? Oh, well, that kinda answers the question. Quickly I reckoned how much that is in kilometers. Taking into consideration the quality of the Soviet motor car industry and Soviet roads, one could presume that it was quite possible to... What? If it takes 1 hour to get there on a bus that's going 60 miles an hour, and you go... if it say it's 60 miles away, and they get 1 hour, you have to walk 60 miles on foot, and that would be like 90 kilometers. So I don't think you would be able to walk that in a reasonable amount of time, provided that Alisa knows the exact direction. Moreover, in my situation, it's not easy to decide on such steps. But we can't stay here either. Alone without food in a deserted pioneer camp. In real life, it would be definitely a bad idea, and I had no other choice but to treat everything happening as reality. Let's go. Where? To the center. Are you mad? You prefer to stay here? Sure, they'll notice when you're missing in return. Don't you think it's odd that they didn't notice it during departure? Well, yeah, but... She started to think. But to go somewhere all on our own. But you said you knew the direction. I do. She agreed without confidence. So, what's there to think about? Maybe we'll encounter some local buses on the way. I don't really believe that myself, but if there's an exit from this camp, this idea seems quite solid. I don't know. As you say. She pouted on confusedly. Then start packing your stuff. Meet me here in a half an hour. I ran towards Ogamichi's cabin. Yeah, not much to pack. I tossed my warm clothes into a bag and I was about to go when attracting an interesting thought crossed my mind. What would I actually need them for? It doesn't seem like a late summer, so what's the point in dragging unnecessary weight along? Especially since I don't know how far I'd have to walk. After resonating that one could survive such weather with a coat or warm boots, I shoved my cell phone with its dying battery into my pocket and went into the square. Oh dear! Whoa! Whoops, I clicked out. I am, dutifully sorry about that. I don't know why I even wanted to click to skip this thing, but I did, and I missed, and I, tapped out. So, let's just forget that and press my enter key like I usually do, instead of randomly clicking my mouse button, and let's go. I had to wait at least 20 minutes for Alisa. My hangover seemed to ease a little so I could better focus on previous night. What does she really mean to be? Mean to me? Was it just drunken sex or something more? Naturally, I can't speak for Alisa. It's difficult even to speak for myself. I began to remember the course of my acquaintance with her, how she teased and mocked me at first, her arrogance and self-confidence. It is more than compensated by the tenderness of last night. It was already clear that she is not the person she wants to seem like. But what kind of person is the real Alisa? And do I have any feelings towards her? I do feel sympathy, a sort of affection where this is beyond, but something more. My reflections were interrupted by Alisa. Here, take it. She held a huge backpack to me. What's this? I asked skeptically. I take it this is all of her belongings. My stuff. Why so little? I brought as much as I could fit. Look, we don't know how far we have to go. Maybe you can only take the most necessary things. So what, I just have to throw it away, leave it here? Alisa sniffed. Firstly, I couldn't understand why she has that much stuff. Secondly, what's so valuable in there? But the chivalrous duty of carrying it is mine, isn't it? Of course. Oh, whoops, but it probably wasn't very much either. She just smiled archly. I missed that. It was a big deal to me anyways. I valued it so much, it could weigh. About 10 kilos, I guess. I can carry that for a few kilometers, but not much further than that. You do understand that we'll not get very far with it, right? Well, we'll do our best. You mean I can throw something out later? We'll see. She answered, her eyes flashing slyly. Okay, I'm taking you as your word. After all, as I have to carry it, I have the right to throw things out of it. And as our journey began. It took me at least an hour to start getting tired. And I would never have thought I'd possess such stamina. Either the backpack was easy to carry or the last night's exercises had trained my muscles. I stopped on the roadside and threw Alisa's belongings on the ground. What are you doing? She said, clearly resentful. Do you want me to carry yourself? Do you want to do it, please? My back is killing me. I need you to carry this bag, please. Of course not! In that case, I need the rest. Naturally, the most rational decision was to get rid of the stuff, keeping the most necessary things, but I couldn't bring myself to do such drastic measures. You've been keeping silent for the whole time. Alisa was staring vacantly down the road as we receded into the distance. What is there to talk about? I don't know. But you're behaving as if nothing happened. Did something happen? She asked a bit absent-mindedly. Well, you know. Had enough rest? Then let's go. Alisa began to quickly walk away from me. Hey, wait a minute. I shouldered the backpack and ran after her. We've been traveling in silence for some time, with Alisa slightly ahead of me and behind. I had no idea how to start a conversation. She seems to have been giving obvious hints that the night's events were one big mistake. At last, it seems so to me. Though, from my point of view, what happened was meant to happen. For the last few days in the camp, I'd definitely been attracted to Alisa, and I believe she was attracted to me as well. In that case, what's the problem? Maybe she doesn't want it to be just a one-night stand. You know, she turned and looked at me. If I did something wrong, you did nothing wrong. But it just turned out this way. So it was just an accident? I didn't say that. Then what did you say? My inability to get a straight answer made me begin to lose my temper, and I raised my voice. You're just giving me hints, ambiguities. What about the straightforwardness, sincerity? You weren't like this before. People tend to change. She slowly paced forward. Change? You call this change? You're a completely different person now, just like Lena, really. Alisa stopped but didn't turn. Don't compare. Got it? Don't compare me with her. She broke quietly, but there's a rage in her voice. What? I was somewhat taken back. You blame me for everything, but what about yourself? You're constantly looking at her. Even now you manage to see her in me. Wait, why did you come yesterday then? You could have gone to her. You did know. Did know what? Did know that I was waiting for you. It seems that making this confession was a hard decision for Alisa, but at first I assigned little significance to her words. Well, you yourself told me to come yesterday, so This wasn't about that. Alisa burst into sobs and covered her face with her hands. I was completely taken back. I still didn't get what she was hinting at, so it was impossible to take normally. Sorry. Forgive me. Stop apologizing. But if I said or did something wrong, so what's the point in apologizing? If you already did, better to behave yourself from the beginning. But I don't know how. Alisa looked up at me. There was so much sorrow in her gaze that I couldn't bear it and turned away. We stood like that for quite some time. Soon she seemed to pull herself back together. Okay, forget it. Let's move on. Naturally, I couldn't forget if I wanted to, but I had nothing to say anyway, so I followed her in silence. I knew it would take a long time and they wouldn't get anywhere. I mean, it wouldn't make sense if it took like a few hours, but I don't know what they're thinking. They're just following the road anyway. They said they can go straight to it and will cut down time, but they're just following the road. Look at them. I do realize that praising the road is a good thing. If anyone knows that reference, sure, because it was a really old one. But I mean, it's good. But it's not good enough to just follow the road, even though you could have went straight there. The sun was moving slowly, moving below the horizon. I was immersed in thoughts that even forgot about the heavy backpack on my back. I had to say something, do something. Alisa is expecting me to. At least a few words. But what should I begin with? I had gotten used to everything in my life being quite simple. Any task seemed to be already finished after only a few steps. Instead of considering the long road to my goal, I immediately started to think about the results, enjoying an unachieved victory. Moreover, I doubt I had to face a situation like this in the real world. Obviously, for some time I dreamed about a person who could care about me. But right now, such a person is in front of me and yet I feel nothing. I can't tell Alisa either yes or no just because I don't know what will happen next. Meanwhile, it got dark. I guess we can make a camp for the night. There's not that much left to go. Are you sure? And even that's so, it's better to just travel during the daytime. You know best. She answered coldly. We stopped at the edge of a wood. Get anything useful in there? I point at the backpack. Have a look. Mainly footwear and clothes were there, but at the bottom I found a magazine and a box of matches. Quite enough to light a fire. Also, there seems to be a log you're sitting on that you can light on fire. But I guess you could light a magazine on for like 30 seconds until it's out of fire. Soon we were sitting on a fallen tree and warming our hands by the fire. Only now did I realize that I'd been finally gotten out of the dang camp. I found no answers. On the contrary, everything that had been even more tangled, as I guess I had seen the rest of my life in this reality. If I don't take into consideration all the sci-fi stuff, it's clear that I'm somewhere in the South at the end of the 80s. How and more importantly why, as I bought and more, is not so important now, as I have somewhat adapt. And I ought to begin with this girl sitting by my side. So what will you do when we reach the district center? Call her parents, what else? Alisa smiled slightly. She had someone to call. And then it's all over. Meaning? Well, we'll leave for our homes. I wasn't really surprised by this answer. I just hadn't thought about what would happen after the term ended. And what's it? That's it? What else is there? I don't know. After all that happened. But nothing happened at all. She told me merrily. What do you mean nothing happened? You have a chance to find Lena. I was surprised, but Alisa said obviously kindly. As if I need Lena. I wouldn't be so sure. I am so sure. Let me decide for myself. Yeah? When will you start doing such silly things? About... I suddenly remembered my current age. 17 years ago. Well, admirable. But to be honest, I didn't notice anything like that. What exactly should you have noticed? That you are to say something about a single gown. She was absolutely right on this point. And what exactly do you want to hear? You know what? The game of hints could last forever. If you want to know how I feel towards you, then I'll speak frankly. I don't know myself. That's exactly what I'm talking about. Alisa turned away. What can I do? That's the truth. And what can I do? I don't ask anything of you. Yeah? Are you sure? Sure. I answered after a while. And what are you doing all 7 days in the camp? What was I doing? You were asking, weren't you? What was I asking for? For what reason? Can't you talk in a way that people can understand? The mind readers are on vacation. If you wanted to, you would understand. I can't understand without an explanation. It's okay. It's just idle talk. She stood up and went towards the road. No way. I lost my temper completely, so I jumped up, ran up to her in a couple strides, grabbed her hand, and pulled her towards me. Okay, so a similar Slavia act just happened currently. I don't know if they accidentally fell or if they did this on purpose. I don't know. But I miscalculated the amount of strength I should use, and we fell onto the ground with Alisa lying beneath me. What, yesterday wasn't enough? Want more? Yes. Her face was glowing and her eyes were flashing. I felt really mixed up. I released the girl's hand, but I didn't stand up at once. I just want to understand. Where did I go wrong? Why are you always thinking that you went wrong somewhere? Because you think so. Who told you that? I didn't. But I can see it. You see everything, don't you? You see and draw conclusions that you shouldn't interfere, that you should lie low, say nothing. I draw a conclusion based on logic. Are you sure that logic of yours is incorrect? I don't know what to say about that. For some time we just lay there. I was completely confused, and it seems that Alisa didn't want to continue our conversation. Finally, she pushed me away and stood up. Why are you here now? With me? Because everyone left the camp and we stayed. I'm not talking about that. No. Because I like you. Finally, I dared to say it directly. Are you sure? And what about Lena? She's always next to you. Maybe she is too much work. And what about me? I'm very simple. Snap your fingers and I'm... Oh, okay. I thought this was Semyon saying that, but okay. She is too much work. She is in my bed by a snap of the fingers. I wouldn't say it's that simple with her. Don't put words in my mouth. You say nothing, so there's plenty of room there. but you think a dozen others. Well, she was absolutely right on that point. I didn't think anything like that. So, do I have to just simply believe all this? You don't have to believe, I'm not forcing you. But it's the truth, so I'm not going to make anything up. Words should be proven with actions. What action is she expecting from me? Well, we could... I knew this was coming. I figured there was going to be a second one. Yeah. There's going to be a second one, apparently. I said with a stupid smile. I had no idea I even dared to think of joking in such a situation, especially a joke like that. Sure. Come on. Alisa said in a calm voice, walked to the fire and started to undress. I jumped up, ran to her, and grabbed her arm. What are you doing? Wait, I didn't mean that. Oh. What was the big deal? Don't you need me just for that? Of course not, you get me all wrong. How should I get you then? I pulled her arm free and started crying. I lay down beside her, hugged her, and started patting her head. Everything is alright. Calm down. Leave me alone. She sat through the tears, but I didn't try to free herself. You see, I had a hard life before this camp. I just haven't got used to this. I don't know how much to act in situations like this. I've been alone for some time. No friends, no loved ones. I had just forgotten how to feel and how to love. It's hard for me. It's so much easier not to get mixed up in those matters. Finally, it became just normal not to. And here we are. Something I never could have imagined. It doesn't mean that I'm an Okay, he is egotistical. Although I guess it seems that maybe I am. I just can't do that right away. Alisa didn't reply and continued crying. But I know one thing for sure. There's nothing between me and Lila. She's a friend, nothing more. I never look at her that way. And I need you, not only for what I think I want. I just don't know how to tell you the things you want to hear. They'd carry obligations. You see, I am the kind of situation now where I don't even know what will happen to me in the next hour. And here, Alisa seems not to be listening to me at all. All my excuses just didn't reach her. Well, I should be proud of myself. I made a girl cry. And which girl? Alisa, who at first glance seemed to be a complete stranger to my romantic feelings. You know, I can't make this decision for the both of us. I can only say for myself that I'm ready to be with you, to support you, to protect you. But you... why do you need me? I have nothing left in my soul. I don't know what I want from this life. Besides, I am here now, but tomorrow I might be gone. Alisa stopped crying for a moment. Don't you understand that I already made a decision a long time ago? Then she looked at me in teary eyes. I might have seen happiness in them for a moment. Alisa embraced me and tenderly kissed me. It was the best kiss of my entire life. No, it wasn't as passionate as the one last night, but there was so much tenderness, trust and love that I dissolved in her lips and in her arms. I forgot about everything, about the camp, about my past life and the doubts which were tormenting me a moment before. She was all that I need, now and forever. The kiss might have lasted forever, but suddenly a horn sounded nearby, as if from inside my brain. I turned to the road and saw a bus. An old Liaz. It looked like a regular one. We lay and looked at it for some time. Soon the driver left the bus and shouted at us. "Hey, lovebirds, this is the last bus to town. Are you coming?" "Shall we go?" Alisa said merrily. We jumped up, I grabbed a backpack, took Alisa by the hand, and ran to the bus. In a couple of seconds, we made ourselves comfortable in the back seat. The driver was shouting something from his place, but I didn't listen to him. Here it is, a rescue ship, heading for a new life. I looked at Alisa. I was so eager to say something to continue the conversation by the fire. She was sleeping peacefully, resting her head on my shoulder. I didn't wake her up. There was no need. We had so much time ahead of us. There was no one in the bus except us. The bus was going fast, leaving behind not only my previous life, but also the week I had spent in the pioneer camp called Sovanok. I went through the more during these 7 days than I had throughout my entire year of my life. And how much I was still laying ahead in the future. A common country scenery was in the window. It didn't interest me much. I was just watching Alisa peacefully sleeping. My heart was filled with warmth and calmness, and my head finally stopped bursting with thoughts. But happiness is a fragile matter. Many things can destroy it. Time, for example. The longer your happiness lasts, the more common it becomes. Emotions dull, new problems and worries appear. I felt good. The most accumulated exhaustion, but didn't let me enjoy the moment. I fell asleep. It seems I'm getting old. The day was over, and the hangover should have been a long time gone. But I still felt sick and dizzy. Despite how hard I tried, I was unable to open my eyes. I just rolled over. I wonder what awaits me in the district center. How am I to live? Maybe it's not all that bad. Well, sure, I don't know where to begin. But on the other hand, this world doesn't seem hostile. I know a lot of things here. Everyone speaks Russian. So, maybe nothing bad is going to happen. Suddenly, I felt very sick. Dang it. I thought I was all gone by yesterday evening. I managed to reach the toilet, moving instinctively. After some time, when my dirty business was done, I returned to the room. And then realized I'm back at my old flat. However, it's not so old. It seems that nothing has changed during the week of my absence. The layers have gotten thicker. The keyboard position monitor incline, the stain of the cup on the tea on the table stung my eyes. Theoretically, a man in my condition shouldn't notice such details. But the entire room drew my attention to the most minor details as if it were twinkling with different colors. The socks were thrown around in the exactly same manner as they had been before. The blanket sat rumpled up on an unmade bed as it was before. The dirty windows showed the same view of the street like a crackled kinetoscope. In vain, I tried to become terrified or at least scared. Maybe it's shock effect, post-traumatic stress disorder or something like that. After all, several hours ago I wasn't even thinking of returning to the real world. The pioneer camp, the girls, Alisa, the mythical district center, where I would have arrived if I hadn't woken up in my flat. All that had started to seem real to me. Maybe my fantastic vacation to Sovanok was just a dream. My feet started to rack up circles around the room. I held my hands behind my back and started to think everything over. Only one thing is clear. I've returned as suddenly as I have arrived here, without any reason or logic. Maybe there was some sort of explanation, but it's beyond my or human comprehension. Whether it was a trick or by interstellar forces or supreme mind or government experiments, I believe the last one to be the least likely. They left no clues. If I was unable to find answers in the camp, I would be foolish to expect things to become clearer here. It's like searching for evidence in a house that's been burned to ashes. Even if a crime was committed, all the evidence was destroyed by fire. Maybe if I had the skills and equipment of a criminologist, I could find something, but the memories of the weeks spent in the camp are all I've got. But it wasn't a dream, I knew for sure. My hangover was absolutely real. My feelings and emotions were genuine, not just the stuff of dreams. Therefore, I've been there. I spent a week in the Sovanok pioneer camp with the camp leader and pioneers. With Alisa. Memories of her made me sigh. It would have been great to leave with her. Wait a minute. What's wrong with me? I should be glad I returned home, to the real world. Or shouldn't I? For now, I just couldn't evaluate the situation reasonably. I couldn't understand whether I wanted to stay there or to enjoy my long-awaited return. I noticed a 5 rumble coin on the table. I took it and began to toss it up without any purpose. Count the number of times heads and tails. A long time ago, maybe even in school, I heard that an infinite number of coin tosses, the probabilities are equal to 50% each, are not equal. It's because a coin doesn't have the perfect shape and weight or because of some other reason. However, after some time I counted 70 heads and 71 tails. So the theory of relativity lies. But I'm not the man to judge it. I don't know how much about it. I recalled my childhood, when I heard the word tails for the first time. For some reason, it always made me think of squirrels. Maybe there was some logic in this. A squirrel kinda has a tail. Now this theory seems strange to me, but at the same time, I couldn't find any conclusive evidences to prove it. So, does this mean that the squirrels come out more frequently than heads? But one must consider that squirrel has a head as well, so... I yanked on my hair and sighed, exhausted. Now's not the time for thinking of such rubbish. On the other hand, what is now the right time for? What can I do? What is under my control? If I hadn't bothered trying the answers during the week here, what would be the point of thinking now? Maybe I should just try to go back to my ordinary life. The words ordinary life were painful to me. Why did I choose that specific word? I could have just said past or former or something else. I guess because I was used to that most obvious answer. As they say, what you get used to becomes a second nature to you. Instantly, all of the last week's events floated before my very eyes. Did I really want to stay there so badly? Was this 1 week enough for me to get used to Olga picking on me all the time, Olyana's pranks and joking around, or Alisa's cheekiness and mockery? I had no answer to this question, but it's obvious that I already miss it. Although, I'm sure I'll never return there. Obviously, I can't tell whether the force that brought me there might want me to entertain myself again. And again, and again. It is possible, but for now, I have what I have, an adventure that I'll remember for the rest of my life. Dang it, how many people have to get to experience something like that? Even books, even dreams about such things are unthinkable. The main thing is that it wasn't Dr. Moru's evil island, but a normal Soviet pioneer camp with normal pioneers, and its commonness was overlaid by the astonishing origin of my arrival there. Anyway, it wasn't the worst experience of my life. Perhaps it was one of the best. Obviously, it's sad that everything just ended halfway through, though. But every story has an end. It's good that it ended this way. Who knows what else would have happened. Okay, good. If that was the ending, I was going to like, okay. Time passed. The events that took place in the camp now seem more like a fascinating novel I once read. No, I haven't forgot them. I could recall them in the finest detail. I remember how as a child I used to lie under a blanket with a flashlight and read fascinating book about space fight until dawn. Sometimes I was unable to get up and go to school. My parents always used to scold me for that. Well, with every night approaching, I would carefully turn each page, trying to absorb every minor detail about the story. I had similar feelings about the pioneer camp. Reality, if I can consider it as such, now seemed more like a book. I didn't think it was bad at all. In the end, the main thing is to remember. It's not important whether these memories take form of slideshow, photos, video, or audio. Now each bus made me feel both fear and hope. At first, I still could run the 410 route with no purpose. Several times I fell asleep on the same heap. But nothing happened. Not even a trance of something supernatural. As times went by, I stopped these idle trips. Something changed my life. I just couldn't do otherwise. A couple of weeks after my return from the camp, I took my guitar that was lying lonely and gathered dust in the corner. Striking a couple of chords, I remembered Alisa. For me, her image was inseparable from this instrument. At first it didn't work out very well. Maybe I just had no talent for music. I started reading the teach-yourself books and watching video lessons. On the other hand, all the effort wasn't a burden anymore. I just played the chords and polished my skill. As with any kind of activity, including music, practice makes perfect. About half a year later, I realized that I achieved some results. At last, I could now smoothly play parts of my favorite songs. Satisfied with my progress, I put a couple of advertisements on music forums, intending to form my own band. I still had no idea what kind of music I wanted to play. My taste varied from something really heavy to anime soundtracks. At first it seemed impossible to me. I'll have to communicate with strangers, and what if we have to do we're just too different? Anyway, how do I explain to others what music I want to make? But it all worked out much easier. The potential candidates turned out to be not so frightening, and our tastes are mostly the same. After all, we shared the same goals, so issues stemming from the lack of understanding could be resolved. And soon we had a band. Suddenly I discovered my talent as a composer. Having spent entire days and nights with the note editor and sequencers, I started composing okay-ish things, at least in the opinions of other band members and pals I showed my songs to. Quite soon we gave our first concert. A D-list club not significantly more spacious than my bedroom. 3.5 viewers who weren't actually sober. I was heckishly anxious, and the sound equipment was constantly malfunctioning. But all of that didn't bother me because I was happy. Since this, I was just the first step to success. However, it was a long time before we surveyed it again. With great difficulty, we managed to record 3 tracks and publish them on the internet. The reviews were far from ecstatic, but it didn't bother me much. It was just the beginning. Maybe some considered our music as just a leisure activity or a brief fixation, but for me, it was serious. After all, it was me who founded the band and all the music was mine as well. I felt the personal responsibility for the fate of my creation. Every spare moment I spent on improving my performance technique. And after a year, I could already confidently say that I wasn't the worst guitarist in the world. Then some sort of popularity came. We were giving concerts almost every week and were finally getting paid. It wasn't important that it was just 500 rubles per man. The fact that our work was in demand and someone was already ready to pay for it, even though we were usually warm up other bands, was what mattered. I was sitting before my monitor torturing my guitar. The date of an upcoming concert was thickly circled in the computer desktop calendar. The very thought of that gave me goosebumps. It'll be the first time we will be headliners. And we'll have an album presentation as well. I wondered how many discs will be sold. Of course the CD era is already over, but there are still some who appreciate it. And maybe some will buy it so to support the band. I look at the date once more. Yeah, it's exactly a year since I returned from Sobernock. My smile reflected into the darkened monitor screen. I wonder whether Alisa would like my music if she existed in this world. I don't think so. She preferred Sobernock rock classics, but who knows. I played a couple of complicated guitar parts and concluded with a feeling of satisfaction that the sound of my guitar surpasses by far that of the Soviet Earl guitars, and my skill has overcome that of guitarists of the same era. I wonder whether I would have achieved all this without those fantastic events. Unlikely. Nothing strange about that. Lots of people rethink their life after stepping close to the edge. Sure, nothing dangerous happened back then, but a psychological shock is a good substitute for grave danger. I rehearsed my part once more, put the guitar in the case, packed all my stuff, and headed to the exit. It was cold outside, just like that day. I slowly approached the bus stop for the 410. Such a coincidence. I am going to the club on this very same bus. With a sinking heart, I counted down the seconds. Soon the bus arrived. It idly opened its doors and swallowed up a few passengers. It was a winter night, just like back then. Cars flashed by outside, their headlights igniting the city as it got ready to sleep. The closer we got to the downtown area, the more people there were in the streets. Some of them were chatting merrily, some were pursuing magnificent boutique windows, and some were hurrying somewhere, paying no attention to anything. This day I had the wish to return to that camp. Any other time, maybe, but not today. I must play the concert, and the rest can screw itself. I had a clear aim, nothing else mattered. The club was considerably bigger than the one we played at the first concert in, but at that moment, it was empty. The sound check was going on. I couldn't hear the drums through the monitor loudspeakers, which I desperately tried to tell the sound guy about. Sound tuned, gadgets installed, set list all prepared. Ready to rock? But it's on a special day. We're not doing the warm-up. The other guys are doing the warm-up before our concert. Thus our entrance is last. As I listened to the first band, I noticed that they have a lot of improving to do. On the other hand, we are no better not so long ago. As the time got closer to the end of our performance, the tension grew enormous. Come on, I was literally shaking with anxiety. I decided not to listen to the other band and wait calmly in the dressing room. Judging by their expressions, my mates were in the same mood. We were silent. Actually, we had nothing to talk about. Our parts were learned and perfectly a long time ago. Our nervousness could hinder us, but we already have some experience, so everything will be fine. At least, I comforted myself with this thought. And now, finally, the time has come. I don't remember how we entered the stage and greeted the audience. My consciousness turned on when the first chords of our first song came into the speakers. While sitting in the makeup room, I desperately tried to warm my ice-cold fingers, but now they ran from string to string without the slightest mistake, as if they were charmed. A thought flashed across my mind. Why didn't I still make a single mistake? When I played all these parts at home during a rehearsal, I never thought about it. Everything seemed a matter of course. But now, when I stood in front of an audience, it felt different. Somewhere deep in my mind, there was a thought that soon my finger would slip, and thank goodness the thinking didn't interfere with my playing. Our performance was nearing the end, and now it was a time for a difficult solo I've been learning for so long. By that point, my nervousness had vanished, and I played through it perfectly, even better than during the rehearsals. Finally, our performance was over, and the concert hall burst with applause. I smiled awkwardly, at least I thought so, and bowed several times with the rest of the band. They shouted encore to us. Even without them shouting, I would have been glad to play something else, but we'd run out of songs as we were just a newly formed band. Euphoria prevailed in the dressing room as we congratulated and hugged each other. The sounds of opening champagne bottles echoed in the halls. All our discs had been sold, which made me even happier. Finally, I managed to become something too. Is it possible to predict the future of our band, or of the whole affair with the music? But one thing was clear. I have finally found something I am interested in and can dedicate my entire life to. As well as that, I can see that it may be able to make people other than me happy as well. I was probably now the happiest man on the entire earth. At least it was surely the best moment of my entire life. The club was empty. Instruments are packed, and I am waiting for the others so we can go home. Yes, 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 yes. Hey! I turned around and saw a girl standing nearby. Her tone wasn't too polite, but it wasn't hostile either. I liked your performance. Thanks. The darkness of the club prevented me from clearly seeing her face, but I was sure that I was extremely familiar to me. And you? I stepped forward. Exactly. It was Alisa. I froze in the spot, unable to speak. What about me? Oh, nothing. I thought I'd seen you somewhere. I decided not to jump at her with questions about a pioneer camp. After all, it's possible this girl mainly looks like her. Or something like that. Anyway, it was obvious that she was seeing me for the first time. Or at least pretending to. Well, generally, it's true. She peered. My name's Semyon. Forcing an artificial smile, I offered my hand. I actually know that. How? Heard it on the internet. Of course, yeah. And you are? Alisa. She replied somewhat confusedly. So I was right. But how right was I? Listen, did you ever go to a pioneer camp as a child? No. Why are you asking? Just, it seemed that I met you there. How could you have met me there if I've never been there before? She laughed. Yeah, all of you musicians are somehow strange. No doubt. Well, I just wanted to say that your music is not too bad. Alisa turned to leave. I felt that I need to do something, say something. Will you come to our next concert? When? To be honest, I had no idea myself. Soon. Yeah, maybe. Send me a message. Yeah, sure. We shared our contact details with each other. Then I'll see you again, probably. She waved her hand and went out. Obviously, I had no idea she was really that same Alisa I met in the camp. Any number of things were nullified by an absolute absence of facts. But at that moment, it was the last thing that concerned me, as I was filled with emotions both from the concert and meeting Alisa. After all, nothing's preventing me from calling her, and then we'll see. I smiled, shouldering my guitar, and started walking to the 410 bus stop with my mates. Mel is good. I don't know how she was the only one to come in and greet me for the thing. But you know, of course, there has to be a reason. Maybe I will learn eventually why all these things that happen in the camp appear to affect the real life. I really hope I will eventually. They seem, you know, quite interesting. And of course, I like to know basically every thing I need to know about the story. Also, there is things that's supposed to summarize parts about the things that are questionable. So I hope that will be cleared up eventually. It'll be great.